Hi, I'm Robin Warren Adamson from Bolney Wine Estate. I'm the business development manager here, working with the trade. So I work with restaurants, hotels, bars, retailers, anywhere that might serve or sell our wine outside of the premises here, really. This is our Cuvee Noir 2014, which is an extraordinary wine, and it's quite unusual. So I want to tell you a little bit about it because it's sort of complicated how it's come into being. Essentially, when we make a wine, we're turning grapes, non-alcoholic grape juice, and through an alcoholic fermentation, we're converting that into wine. And the end product of that is what we call a still wine. You know, a wine that's flat. It doesn't have any bubbles. But this is a sparkling wine, so there are two processes that are going to go on. The grape variety in this wine is called Dornfelder. It actually grows in the vineyard just over my shoulder here, and we've had it planted here for decades because we're one of the oldest English wineries. So we have a whole kind of range of different grape varieties growing here. And this is one of our most historical. Dornfelder produces quite deep red coloured, quite thick skinned grapes, and therefore produces quite a kind of medium to full style of red wine. And so that's what's quite unusual about this wine, is we're having a red wine that is also a sparkling wine. It's not something we see very often. So initially we're going to make an ordinary red wine from this, which is flat, and then we're going to age that wine in barrel to make it softer and give it a bit more complexity, add some more unusual flavours that maybe weren't present in the grapes initially. And then we're going to put the wine through this process called secondary fermentation, which is how you turn a still wine into a sparkling wine. And this process that we use here at Bolney is known as the traditional method, something that we've seen done in Champagne for centuries, and it's seen as the pinnacle of sparkling wine making. And what you essentially do is you create that process, that alcoholic fermentation that we did the first time around to make red wine. We're doing that again, but we're doing it inside the bottle. So we've bottled our wine as a red wine. We're going to put some more sugar and yeast inside the bottle. And carbon dioxide, which is created by this process, it's got nowhere to go because we've put the top on. And so that carbon dioxide, normally it would float out into the atmosphere, but actually it's going to get absorbed into the wine. It's got nowhere to go. And the byproduct of that is it's going to have these really kind of lovely, soft but persistent bubbles that are just sat inside the juice, inside the wine, waiting to be released, and hence that enormous pop when we open the wine. But also that process is quite unusual. We're not just pumping carbon dioxide in like you're making Coca-Cola or something. That sugar and that yeast has got nowhere to go. It's sat inside the bottle, and so it starts to have this biological reaction, which adds lovely yeasty, bready, just really unusual flavours into the wine because of this process. So before I waffle on too much about how we make it, I think we should pop it open. Hopefully this will go right on camera. So just taking off the foil here. My top tip for opening sparkling wines of any kind is to just release the metal catch by twisting it, keeping my thumb on top, and then not taking this cage off, because you never know, you're always going to get that rogue bottle that just goes and hits you in the face. So I keep my thumb on top, and I'm going to, using my weaker hand, I'm going to put I'm going to encase it, and then I'm going to start turning the bottle using my other hand. So rather than pulling the cork out, I'm going to start turning it. I feel it's just started to release, and I'm going to keep that pressure inwards because I don't want the pop to cork, I don't want the cork to pop out too quickly. So I'm pushing against it, and I'm just twisting it slowly. And ideally, if I'm pretending that I'm a sommelier in some posh London restaurant, I'm going to have a very silent release. Oh no, I didn't get it right. Anyway, it's come out and it's not gone everywhere. I'll have to keep practicing that. So, sparkling wine, but it's red. So as I said, it's so unusual. Let's put myself a bit more. It's gorgeous, this wine. So first thing to note is I recommend serving this in a kind of normal fuller sized wine glass rather than the sort of flutes that we often do, they can really mute the flavours, even though they look great, and they can really help with the bubbles to kind of, it's lovely to watch them going up and down. Having a bigger glass gives more area for the aromas to come to your nose. Great to give it a swirl, activate those aromas, with a nice smell. And immediately, this is not like any sparkling white wine that you will have had before. So the aromas that I'm getting are red berries, blueberries, almost kind of brambly, hedgerow sort of flavours. And there's sort of like a spiciness, maybe some black pepper, and for want of a better word, a meatiness. This is making me think of eating food. It's not making me think of like, an aperitif, to have before starting on your meal. It's really thinking, wow, what kind of food pairing's going to come to mind? And on the palate, that spiciness, that rich oakiness continues through. Again, some blue and red berries, and then it's all kind of made all the more unusual by these bubbles, which I talked about at the beginning, which gives it a refreshing, a really kind of light, refreshing feel. So on the one hand, you've got this quite heavy, rich style of wine, and then you've got behind it these delicate little bubbles, which makes it somehow light and refreshing at the same time. And for this reason, this wine is really it fits a need that I think we've not known that we had for a while, which is, when you are on a really hot summer's day having a barbecue and you need some big heavy red wine to have with that rich heavy food that you're going to be cooking, possibly red meats or very charred flavours, but it's hot, you want something light, refreshing and chilled. You don't want a kind of really warm, heavy red wine because it's going to be too overpowering. This is the perfect wine for that. It keeps up with your food, and it's refreshing, it's light, it keeps you cool. It's absolutely perfect. The other way I'd have this is with some bitter dark chocolate desserts, or dark berry desserts. Again, chilled, refreshes, cleanses your palate, but equally it kind of matches those foods that white wines or normal sparkling wines wouldn't. So I really hope you enjoy it. Cuvee Noir 2014. Cheers.